Welcome to the Cryptonomatron. This video, I'm doing a BTU-Protocol ICO review. But if this is your first time here and you want to learn more about ICOs, blockchain technology, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and other related stuff, then click on that subscribe button, click on that bell notification icon and you'll get notified as soon as I upload new content whenever I go live. Thanks for doing that, guys. Come and be part of the Cryptonomatron community. We're building for the future here. Let's get on with the review. So what is the BTU protocol? Well, it's a booking token unit protocol. It's an open source protocol for decentralized reservations on the blockchain. And as you can see here from the homepage, it is open source, it's public, it's available to anybody that's actually got a booking system. And if they want to apply this blockchain technology to their existing system, it's very easy to do. It's scalable. It works on chain with the smart contract, and then they've got off chain software components that allow more scalability. And they're also combining the tokenized system ERC20 token, the BTU token, with an ERC808 standard booking smart contract. So all very exciting. Let's take a look first at their competition in the space. So the main competition is already established and already on the internet being used by millions of people worldwide. The biggest one, I think, is Expedia. Now, Expedia is a booking platform. You can book hotels, flights, rental cars and other activities using their platform. It's very easy to use. They charge a very low fee, and that's usually charged onto the people that are selling their services, like the airlines or the hotels, and it doesn't really affect you as the consumer. In fact, you get probably cheaper prices from these platforms than you would walking into a establishment and like a hotel and booking it yourself. So that's the benefit for the consumer. The other one I found is Priceline, very similar to Expedia. Again, hotels, cars, flights, and even cruises you can book on this platform. So the booking platforms, the centralized ones, are already established. They're already doing a lot of business. We're talking millions of dollars every year, possibly billions. And people are using them more and more and more to book their different services. The thing I want to stress to you is where BTU Protocol fits in with these competitors. Now, they may end up being competitors if they decide to put their own blockchain into effect and build their own blockchain. However, they could decide to take the easy route and buy into the BTU protocol service and use that. Now, it's open source, it's free to use, you can integrate your service with it, and that's probably the way some of these companies will go, especially the ones that are not as big as Expedia or Priceline, the ones that are trying to establish themselves in the market. So that's where the value of the BTU protocol for the established competition is. Now, there are some competition on the blockchain. There are some decentralized competitors. One of them is at ICO at the moment. It's concierge.io. Its token sale is live. It's actually on the Neo blockchain, which is interesting. So that's an NEP5 token for you. I won't go into much more detail other than there is competition for putting bookings on the blockchain. So I'll refer to the light paper. The material in this project, actually, before we get on to the problems they solve, is very, very good. It's very well written. They have a light paper, a one-pager, a white paper, and several other documents as well, including the website that, it's easy to understand. You know exactly what the project's doing, what it's all about, and it's got some technical information there as well if you're into the code. Plus, they have code on GitHub, I believe, as well. They have an MVP code on GitHub, so that's something to go and check out. But the pain point that we're talking about in this chapter is basically the centralized booking platforms on the internet have essentially control over the services, because what's happened is everybody's moved over to booking on the internet now, and hotels and flights, airlines and travel agents and cruises and other activities, they need the internet to sell their services. A lot of people book through the internet, and what's happening is they rely on these big established centralized companies like Expedia to get the number of bookings. Now, if they weren't on Expedia, they wouldn't get the same number of bookings because they're simply not getting the advertising and they're not recognized. A lot of people use these big platforms to book their services. So what's happening is the big platforms can then charge a lot of commission because they can turn around and say, well, if you don't pay us this amount of commission, we're not going to include your hotel or your service on our platform. And that's the catch-22 situation that these service providers are facing at the moment. And as we can see, there's a commission fee from 15 to 35% for these big centralized platforms. So Booking Token Unit, or the BTU protocol, they have built an open protocol for decentralized reservations. So it's basically a building block for any DApp or website that's willing to implement the booking features for the end users. Now, the BTU protocol, it also brings interoperability among decentralized apps that incorporate it. You can see there from the Whitepaper, there's a little infographic there demonstrating simply how it works. Now, the big selling point of this for me would be the fact that if you've got a website, you've got a booking platform, you can immediately get the benefits of the blockchain by using this BTU protocol. As your website can implement the booking features that this building block has, so that your end users can benefit from that as well. So they do this hybrid approach, as I mentioned before. They have the on-chain smart contracts, and then they have off-chain software solutions, and that solves a little bit of the scalability issues as well, which again, we keep talking about them, they keep coming up. But the blockchain is the Ethereum blockchain, and as we know, Ethereum is not really scalable. So all these off-chain solutions have emerged. Tomo Chain's one of them, Raden's another, there are so many. This is another one, but this specifically applies to decentralized reservations. Still referring to the Whitepaper, let's take a look at the market. Now, the use case for this particular protocol can be bookings for hotels and apartments, office studios, warehouses, cars, flights, trains, buses, any mode of transport you can think of, tours, holiday packages, again, anything you can really think of, and it can be extended to other services as well. As you can see, photographers, guides, caterers, car repairs, garages, that type of thing. So it has a very big use case. There's a lot this protocol can be applied to. So there's a good market analysis in the white paper, and it actually mentions both Expedia and Priceline as well, which we discussed very briefly in the competition section earlier. And Expedia now owns all those different companies. You can see Expedia.com, Hotels.com, and several others. Priceline owns Booking.com, Kayak, Agoda.com, even CheapFlights.com. Some of those I've used myself. So that that market there is becoming very centralized and more monopolized as well, or in this case duopolized. But again, one of those big fish will eat the other big fish. That's the way it works in business. So it's getting more and more centralized rather than decentralized. So there's a big potential for BTU protocol and similar blockchains to disrupt this industry, because this industry is ripe for disruption. This is an industry that's just waiting to be plucked off the vine here. So, if we discuss the market capitalization of all the big hotel companies in the world, they have the same market capitalization as just Booking and Expedia together, $130 billion in fact. They probably have 80 to 90,000 employees, these two companies. Altogether, the hotel industry has over 3 million employees. So it's a weakness. It's something that needs to be disrupted. It's something that needs to be, changed, because otherwise these guys are just going to eat all the little fish up, and they're going to be the only show in town, and then they can do what they want in terms of charging commissions to the service providers, and service providers will be in a no-win situation. They'll have no option but to use them. In terms of the global market, you can see digital travel sales account for $564.87 billion US per year. That is phenomenal. In the US alone, $190.4 billion US. So globally, they actually do more business than the entire cryptocurrency market cap put together. And there we are, there's the statistics, growing very, very healthily from 2014, where it was at $470 billion a year, up to estimated $817 billion in 2020. So it's an industry that's continuing to grow as more and more people use digital services to book. And again, the benefits are clear for anybody to see. You can look at online reviews, you can look at different pictures, you can maybe even in the future we'll have 3D models and virtual reality or augmented reality where you can actually walk around the property. This is the kind of thing that is just going to grow the digital and online booking service. The traditional bricks and mortar businesses are done, guys. I'm sorry, if you're not a travel agent, then I don't know what to tell you, you're finished, So online is going to be the only way that bookings are conducted in the future. And the blockchain is going to be a big part of that, I believe, because it's going to disrupt the current status quo, and it needs to, as I just discussed. So, if we're looking at that sort of market, there's definitely room for BTU protocol to capture some of that. So I mentioned before, they are using the Ethereum blockchain. The ERC-808 is the smart contracts that they've developed, and there are 4 components for the ecosystem. The provider, obviously, that's the third-party provider, the service provider, if you like, the hotel, the airline, the booking service. Then there is the booker, which is the person that's actually the customer, if you want, the person that's actually looking to book a hotel, looking to book the activity. Then there's the booking infrastructure. Now that can be either a website perhaps, or a decentralized app from another provider, but that's the place where the booker and the provider basically are going to meet up and sell and buy the service. And then you've got the RES, and that's the smart contract implementation for the decentralized standardized BTU protocol. Now, interestingly to note, and maybe a bit of a concern, is that payments are not handled by the BTU protocol. So there's no payment service here that's handled on the blockchain. So the other consideration with Ethereum is scalability. We keep mentioning it, and it is going to be a problem. Doesn't matter. Whatever happens, Ethereum is going to have to deal with that issue. And the way they are going to deal with it is they have 3 solutions. Cosmos, which is they're actually going to build their own sidechain, I believe, and relay or infrastructure. And then they consider using Raiden as well. Now, you may have heard of Raiden. It launched an ICO last year, been very successful since. It's an off-chain scalability solution for Ethereum blockchain, and they're going to combine that with IPFS, the file sharing service, and any open source indexing solution. And the third solution also implements Raiden, but with a big chain database public infrastructure, because a lot of the problem will be you can't store information, a lot of information on the blockchain itself. You have to have a decentralized storage solution, and that's where IPFS or IPD can come in to store that. So there you go. That's pretty much all about the blockchain. I don't really want to go in further detail on it. We'll take a little look at the tech and what they've got in the next chapter. So referring to the white paper again, there is a lot of technical information that you might find relevant. There's an infographic here, which we looked at briefly before, that just explains roughly how the system works, how the protocol works. You've got the booker, provider coming together with the Ethereum blockchain in the middle, pretty much. That's what that's highlighting. But there is a lot of other information as well in the white paper, how they're going to contain malicious behavior, how they're going to what the motivation behind it is as well, how it's going to actually motivate people to use it, what the coverage is. They've got workflow there. Also, the code is on GitHub as well. There is a very basic MVP available on GitHub. The full one will be available next month, I believe, for your perusal. And again, a lot of different information about the technical aspects, governance, what they're going to do to prevent the forking, the token function, the infrastructure, again, the roadmap for the different implementation of the tech, the use case, the architecture, and so on and so forth. So all detailed there should you wish to go and have a look at it. I won't bother trolling through it page by page because it's just not really conducive to a good review, I find. So I'm trying to keep these more technical sections and such like to the minimum, unless there's something really exciting that I have to show you, like a actual demo or anything like that. So another advantage, and a major advantage of this particular protocol, is they could do away with the centralized booking services altogether, i.e. the middlemen, and that would mean you can go directly to the service provider that's utilizing this protocol. Also, there's no rewards for people using the centralized systems as well. This BTU protocol will actually reward bookers. It incentivizes people to use the ecosystem. And service providers aren't rewarded either for providing their availabilities to the centralized systems. That's going to change, obviously, as they're going to save on fees, as it's going to be their biggest incentivization to use this platform. So the BTU Protocol Revolution, as we can see here from the one-pager, is a public inventory that's managed via the blockchain. Again, very cost effective. More inflow booking for service providers. Again, a lower cost. They don't have the high commission fees. Plenty of new bookers that are getting incentivized with tokens to book services on this platform. And it's open source as well, fast and reliable. So the applications for this particular protocol are numerous. They don't have to be just for travel bookings, as we've discussed. It can be used for anything. Any service providers can use this protocol to get reservations and bookings for their service. But they do provide an API for listing resources on the blockchain, an API for booking resources on the blockchain, plugin for the most common CMS, WordPress, Drupal, etc., and also integration with ERP. It's 100% free, 100% open source. And they're going to have a bounty campaign as well to incentivize developers to create and implement new services within the BTU protocol. So yeah, they're very focused on fair use, free use, and getting it to as many people as would benefit from it as possible. So let's take a look at the BTU protocol token use now, and it's summed up in one paragraph in the white paper, and I just lifted it directly and put it into this slide to show you basically what every blockchain should be trying to do with a tokenized ecosystem. It incentivizes in order to drive a network of participants to behave rationally and with economic interests aligned. Isn't that well put? I thought it was. Basically what it's saying is it deals with bad actors, people that are there to disrupt the ecosystem, and also misaligned incentives as well, people working for their own aims, and this aligns everybody into the same economic goals. That's pretty much how it works, and that's what every tokenized ecosystem should be striving for. The second thing, again, this all relates to number one, but this is going a little bit more specific in what it actually will do, is rewards for bookers as well. So effectively, as the bookers are performing the mining task by doing the booking on the blockchain, they will get rewarded for doing so in tokens. The tokens can also be staked as well to ensure that there's no spam or malicious actors. Now, the reason for this is if you're a booking service or a service provider, then to put your hotel or your service onto the blockchain, you'll have to actually stake a minimum number of tokens. So that takes away people that just want to go on the network, go on the ecosystem and spam it and use it for malicious ends. Number four, it serves as a de facto standard and eventually will enable a virtuous network effect as well. So the token will be the standard for everybody that sort of uses this blockchain. That's pretty much what they're saying. And then the interesting thing I found here was other token use cases may be implemented by anyone in the community. So if you've got your own website, you've got your own DApp, you can actually utilize the token to do other things than are already specified by the protocol itself. And finally, and stop asking because it's bloody obvious, it will be tradable on external exchanges after the ICO is complete. Now guys, obviously they can't discuss what exchanges the token's going to go on until after the ICO. It's down to regulations. They can't say, oh yeah, we're on this exchange, we'll be on that exchange. That all happens after the ICO. I see so many people, and I'm not accusing my subscribers, I think we're a bit higher brow, yeah? But, you know, there's a lot of questions on Telegram, you know, what exchanges will it be on? And, you know, they don't know yet. And even if they did know, and even if they had agreements, they can't disclose it to you. I'm happy to report, doesn't appear to be any scam warnings or red flags about this ICO. It looks a legitimate project. You know, the team's all legit, they all check out. The code's available on GitHub. You know, it does really tick all the boxes of a legitimate and stable project that could potentially be quite a reasonable investment. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in the final verdict section. Let's look at the token sale details now. First of all, token symbol is the BTU, that's the ticker. The token price at crowd sale will be 75 cents. The hard cap, they're aiming for a hard cap around $25 million. And the total supply is going to be 100 million BTU tokens. Of that, the up for grabs at the token sale will be 50 million. That's 50% of the total supply. Crowd sale date not announced yet. Pre-sale will be first. That is coming soon. You need to do KYC and everything. And again, US and other prohibited countries cannot participate. Sorry about that, guys, but I don't make the rules here. And the breakdown is as follows. 50% of total supply will be sold to the general public. 20% will be for the company with a 24 months lockup. So it shows they actually believe in what they're doing. 20% for the founders with a 12-month lockup. And 10% for marketing, bounty campaign, and other promotional devices. There you go. There's it broken down in a sort of chart, what the distribution of the tokens is. So total supply 100 million, as I mentioned. The reason I'm showing you this is because I just wanted to discuss a little bit about on the website. There isn't any information about the token sale that's easily accessible on the website. Why? You're having a token sale, guys. You need to show everybody what your distribution is going to be, what the price of the token is. That's what matters to investors, and I can't find it anywhere on the website. Maybe I'm being stupid, I don't know, but it wouldn't be the first time. But you know, I just see that as ridiculous. You're holding a token sale and you don't have all the information right there, smack bang on your homepage, easy for the potential participants in the ICO to see. I had to go trolling for this paper. I've asked on Telegram. You know, ridiculous. Put it on the website, guys, honestly, and you will suffer when you go to crowd sale as a result of not having all your information easy to obtain by potential participants. And I forgot to mention that any unsold tokens during this crowd sale will be burned. So we could see quite a low circulating supply after the sale. Unfortunately, the bounty campaign was only directed at Telegram, I believe, and it's already been completed. It was more like an airdrop, so you got 4 BTU tokens for signing up and joining their Telegram. And what's happened here is it's artificially increased their members on their Telegram group for the period of the ICO. If you go on the Telegram group itself, it's not that busy, not many people interacting, not many people talking, but it's got over 32,000 members. And I guess, you know, in my opinion, the bounty campaign was unsuccessful. It should have been run traditionally. I think they've wasted a lot of tokens on the airdrop. I don't think it's worthwhile giving away you know, minute amount of tokens to such a large number of people. I think it could have been a more traditional way of running a bounty campaign, giving more traction in the community and more support, because this and we'll see in the community section when I discuss this again, this ICO does not have much community support at all, and they've just wasted their time by getting people to sign up for the Telegram who aren't really interested in participating in this crowd sale. So let's look at the roadmap now, and in November 2017, the BTU-Protocol had a presentation at DevCon 3 Unicorn P&P in Cancun, in Mexico, I think that is. In January 2018, the EIP ERC 808 submission of the BTU protocol was done. In February 2018, they had a hackathon at the Etna School. In March 2018, they presented at the Ethereum Community Conference, and they also released the BTU Protocol MVP, as I mentioned. I think the code's available on GitHub. In April 2018, we will have the BTU Protocol token sale, and then moving on with development in the rest of 2018. So there will be in May, the protocol MVP will go fully on-chain. It will be the Earth release, they're calling it. They've got these different planetary releases. There will be a demo of the decentralized app, and the RES smart contract will also be implemented. Q3 2018, we'll see the Mars release, and that includes support to the first platform based on the BTU protocol, the booking infrastructure, the JavaScript SDK for developers, and then template decentralized app that will be customizable to any industry. In Q1 2019, we'll see the Jupiter release, and that will include support to more partners leveraging the booking infrastructure. There will be the SDK available in JavaScript, Java, Python, and Go, so more languages added to it. And then there will be the plugin for WordPress, Drupal, and other CMS as well. In Q2 2019, the Saturn will be released. That's the integration of the reputation system and enhanced privacy features. Q4 2019, there will be the release of Uranus, which is implementing of the Cosmos zone, which I believe has to do with storage. Okay, let's look at the team now, and the two founders are Vidal Chikri, I think it's pronounced, and Hervé Hababou. The company is based in France, as you can probably tell from the the names. Now, Vidal, he is actually the inventor of this ERC 808 smart contract. He is a blockchain entrepreneur, if you like. He is also a software programmer. He's a technical advisor to several different ICOs. He writes smart contracts as well, and he writes white papers and stuff like that. So he's involved with blockchain. So, you know, what can you say? The guy's actually designed the smart contract for his own token sale. You can't really get any more involved than that. Hervé, on the other hand, he's also a software designer. He's interested in other aspects of it, like mining, artificial intelligence. And he's working on open source software for this project as well. So a very good match. You can see there that they've both got LinkedIn pages. I won't bother checking them out on this review, but you can go there through the website. And also Vidal's got a GitHub of his own as well, which you can go and check out and have a look at some of the code. So let's look at the team and ambassadors now. Ambassadors here, I think, I'm not sure if it means advisors, but anyway, they look like they can implement. They have 4 guys at the top row there that are all involved in the implementation, software development, designing the back end, designing the front end. And if we look down, we have quite a lot of advisory experience and, you know, the marketing experience. Also blockchain experience on the lower tier here. The team is very localized, and I had to criticize it. I would say it's very localized. They all seem to be based in France, which is maybe not a great strength here, because I like to see international teams. That normally tells me a project has got a global vision. But you know, that's not to say this team isn't strong. It is, you know, it is pretty strong. It's got a wealth of experience, and it's quite diverse in terms of that experience as well. You know, we've got a travel industry ambassador there, Pascal. We have a software industry ambassador. Marketing is taken care of, and then we have cryptocurrency ambassador there, Sebastian. Finance ambassador, and even a healthcare industry ambassador, Dr. Gary, down at the bottom there. So I think the team's pretty good. It's not the strongest I've ever seen, bit too localized for my liking, but still, no question, these guys can implement. They're focused on the software development and implementation in particular, which is good. And the last thing I want to point out here is they do have a focus on meeting regulatory requirements. In France, of course, I don't know much about launching ICOs in France, and you know what a difficult process that would be. I'm familiar with the process in Switzerland and Gibraltar, and Estonia as well, but not with France. So they have legal representation there, as you can see. They have Antoine Gabizon, who is representing them in tax, and Arno Grunthaler, I hope I pronounced that correctly. And those guys both work for their partner, Fieldfisher. So Arno is specialised in banking and financial regulation as well. So moving on to partnerships now, Fieldfisher, as I just discussed, Parity Technologies, Tycoon, Invest Securities, ICO in Korea, that whale is, and Scalene Partners. Let's just have a quick look at each of the websites as they're quite interesting. Now, Invest Securities, multi-expert investment services provider. They are a complementary business unit including brokerage, analysis office and issuers department, providing solutions adapted to custom companies, institutional investors and fund managers. So interesting. Next one, Scalene Partners, independent advisory firm specialised in fundraising. Okay, interesting. That would be good, I suppose, for ICO, because that's the purpose of an ICO, to fundraise. This ICO in Korea, I presume it's all about I guess like a ICO bench, but in Korean, it looks like. I don't read Korean, so it's difficult, but that's what it looks like. Then Tycoon is, let's see, okay, so they're tailor-made solution, premium services for launching ICOs. All right, that's good. Parity Technology. The internet has become the very fabric of our modern lives. As we move into the future, a trust-free interaction system will be key to combat the risks and shortcomings of the current internet architecture. Parity Technologies, we are building software based on a new peer-to-peer technology to power this future decentralized web. Say hello to Web3, your secure social operating system. Okay, and we are an infrastructure and innovation-focused company building platforms and applications. The work includes cutting-edge cryptography. Interesting. Okay, good. So they've got a lot of GitHub repos there and tech stack. That's very interesting, actually. Parity Technologies, they are. Fieldfisher, I assume they are litigation. Yep, there we go. So onto the community now. First, they have had a couple of press releases, although nothing like what really should be the coverage for a project of this potential, I would say. So they're there on the currency analytics, Crypto Excalibur, Capital, and Leco as well. Echo, I should say. Sorry, my French isn't that great at this time in the morning. They're also on Medium, Telegram, Twitter, and I mentioned before they have an MVP and code on GitHub as well. But let's have a look at Medium. So yeah, they have a couple of blog posts, really, not that many. Really not that committed to the community. I feel this project could do a little bit better. Now, they have a lot of members on Telegram, but this is a little bit deceiving. As I mentioned back in the bounty campaign section of this video, the 32,000 members are actually just signing up to get the free tokens during an airdrop. They don't necessarily give us stuff about the project, and they probably won't participate in the token sale. So I think the bounty campaign was a bit of a mess, and really it didn't serve the purpose that it should have done. However, I have to say, I've been on the Telegram channel all day and there's been no real interaction except from one of the founders and Sebastian, the cryptocurrency advisor. So, you know, the community support behind this project, it might be deceiving. If you see 32,000 people on the Telegram, you think, oh wow, that's quite a lot of people. You know, this project must have a lot of support. That's not the case with this project. We can see on Twitter they only have a couple of hundred followers, and they're not that active on social media either, which is again another concern of mine. So there's no hype behind this project, and you can probably tell none of you probably would have heard about this project until you watch my video on it. And that's a shame, really, because this is a project that deserves a little bit of attention. That's why I decided to do the video on it. And it doesn't have the support, the community support that it deserves, I feel. But again, you only get what out of a project what you put in, and you really have to be smashing social media these days to keep up with the best of the best. And as I mentioned, a bounty campaign, a well-organised and structured bounty campaign, probably could have done that, but they wasted it on an airdrop, which I think is has been pretty much a complete waste of time, which is a shame. So hopefully my video goes some way in building a little bit of interest in this project, and hopefully before the ICO actually starts, because we've got pre-sale first and then ICO will go live after that. Hopefully it will get a little bit of support behind it. Okay, it's verdict time now, and as usual I'll go through the positives and negatives first. We'll look at the potential gains and then I'll give you my final verdict at the end. So first of all, positives then, well, they have a minimum viable product on GitHub, so that goes a long way in assuring me that they are legitimate and they actually know what they're doing. Number two, this is quite important in this type of project because they're using the Ethereum blockchain, and obviously the main chain is fairly slow, and you know, there's questions over scalability. So they've implemented a scalability solution, and that addresses the issues that Ethereum has. So the ERC-808 smart contract solution will basically address the scalability, and it's important for a project of this nature because if it gets adopted and it's used quite a lot, then there's going to be a lot of reservations and transactions happening, and they simply won't be able to happen on the main chain. Number three, in the spirit of crypto, it is open source and it is free. Number four, it is a large potential market here. We're not just talking about travel bookings, hotel bookings, airline bookings, that type of thing. This could apply to anywhere where you have to make a booking or a reservation. And number five, I think this is truly disruptive to the current market. I think it could really, you know, rock the two main players, Priceline and Expedia, if it gets adopted across the board. This could be potentially very, very disruptive indeed. So this could also be adopted by big or small players in the industry. That it doesn't matter what size of company you are, this protocol can add a lot of value to your business. Number seven, it cuts out the middleman. Again, back to disrupting the current status quo. This is going to cut out the need to have a booking website doing all your bookings. You can do it yourself, and also other smaller booking websites can use this protocol as well. So it could cut out the middleman, which at the moment is pretty much Expedia, Priceline, and a couple others. Number eight, the tech behind this project appears to be very solid. The founder has basically designed and implemented the ERC-808 smart contract himself, and you know, the rest of the tech behind it looks pretty good too. Number nine, I like this. The roadmap is quite clear and concise, and it details at every stage what they're going to implement and when, and they've broken it into 5 stages named after planets. The first one, Earth, moving through to Uranus at the very end. And yeah, so it's detailed, and it tells me what I want to know when they're going to do certain things. Number 10, the material is quite polished too. They've they've bothered to actually make the website look quite nice. The white paper's nice and readable, even though it is maybe a bit too technical for most people. They've got a one-pager, a light paper as well, so the material is good. Number 11, utilizing or using this ecosystem will reward and incentivize the participants. It will reward the bookers for making bookings in terms of a little bit of tokens every time they make a booking, and also it rewards the service providers as well. Number 12, I think the partners on this project are pretty solid, especially Parity, the software developers. I think they can help with this project's route to success. And number 13, last but not least, I think the team is very focused on implementation, and that's good because that means they're not just trying to raise money to implement it further down the line based on an idea. They've already got a plan, they've already got an MVP, and the team itself can develop and it can implement. So number 1 on the negatives is no payment service, and they're not offering this whatsoever. You'll have to implement this on your own, and that could hinder adoption of this project. In fact, I think it's probably the major negative of this project. They don't have an integrated payment system, and a lot of companies that are, especially smaller companies, they will want to have an integrated payment service, especially for cryptocurrencies. Number 2, larger competitors, they may prefer to build their own blockchain. They're still trying to cling on to the centralized control, and having their own blockchain solution will allow them to do that in a way. They may have no choice though in the future, but in the interim, they might decide to develop their own blockchain solutions and use that instead. Number 3, this was annoying. The ICO details were not clearly defined enough on the website. Again, you have to have them on the website, guys. I can't stress this enough. You have to have them easily accessible and defined on the website. How many tokens are there? What's the token price? What currencies do you accept? I couldn't find that information anywhere, and that's just not good enough for a project that's running an ICO. Number 4, again, partially due to the ICO details not being clearly defined, the token metrics are confusing. Now, they say the hard cap's at $25 million, but when I calculated with the price at 75 cents and a supply of 50 million tokens, that makes a hard cap of 37.5 million. So, I'm still confused over the token sale. I asked for information. It wasn't forthcoming, really. I'm just confused. Again, you have to clearly define everything to investors or potential contributors on the website. Number 5, another thing that I discussed earlier on was the bounty campaign in this project has failed, in my opinion. They've given small, minute amount of tokens to everybody that signed up to the Telegram group, and I don't believe that even 5% of those people that are on the Telegram group will actually participate in the ICO. I think the bounty campaign has been a failure. I think they should have had a traditional bounty campaign in that all different social media platforms should have been targeted and bigger rewards gone to people that actually took part in a proper bounty campaign. Airdrops don't work. Airdrops are a waste of time, in my opinion, and I think this has failed, and what this has resulted in is a large number, 32,000 people joining Telegram until the end of the ICO with no intention of participating and no actual real interest in the project, and it's a shame. It really is a shame. Number 6, adoption is key for this project. So what I mean by this is, if it doesn't get adopted, it doesn't have a plan B, it doesn't have any way out, it doesn't have its own it doesn't have its own use. It's relying on adoption purely to succeed. Number 7, a minor gripe. The team is just a bit too localized for my liking. Yeah, they've got the partnership with ICO in Korea, but again, I just feel it's just too localized in France. And number 8, there's absolutely no hype or community support behind this one, guys, and that is frustrating because this deserves a little bit more, and that's why I've dug it out for this review. It deserves a little bit more attention. It is deserving. It's got the technology. They can develop and implement this. This is something real. It's not vaporware. And I'm going on a rant here, but it has to be done. There's so many vaporware projects. ICO whitepaper projects that are raising millions, and they don't have any developers. They don't even have a code. This one's got code, yet it's been completely overlooked. Yeah, it's there's a few things they could have done better, like the bounty campaign and the ICO details on the website and in the material. But I'm still surprised this has as little support as it does. I really am. Number 9, the token price is too high for my liking. 75 cents doesn't give a lot of room for growth. And this one is going to struggle to grow in value. This is a long-term one. It's certainly not one for flipping, in my opinion. And number 10, I mentioned it before, whether it's 25 million or whether it's 37.5 million, it doesn't matter. Both of those hard caps are too high for a project of this nature. So let's look at the potential gains behind this project. Now, in an ultra bearish market, because of the token price, I think this is going to be negatively affected. This could lose up to 80–90% of its value from ICO if it launches in an ultra bearish environment, I feel. In a bearish market, yeah, it's going to go down at least 10%, I reckon. It could lose even more. I don't think that a bearish sentiment is going to be favourable to this project at all. I think it would suffer. In a bullish environment, though, I think we could see this easily double up. I'm talking in the short to medium term here. I'm not talking medium to long term, because again, it's going to be down to adoption and implementation, and it's going to grow. It's a solid project. It's going to grow over time. I'm talking sort of short to medium term here, guys. And in a perma bullish market, if it hits the exchanges, this one could do a 5x. It's got the code, it's got the tech, and again, it just needs the support behind it. So for flipping, I doubt it, guys. I really do. I don't think it's going to hit exchanges and then make you instant profit. This is one you're going to have to hold on to get anything out of. And hodling, holding on for dear life, well, it will have to be mon ami. Because, yeah, the value in this project is going to be longer term. It's going to be to 2019, early 2019. It's going to be in full implementation and being adopted. And then after that, that's when the value is really going to kick in for this project. So final verdict then, what do I think about it? Well, I think you will have to be patient with this one, but it might pay off in the end. I think it's going to be a long hold for this one. I think it's a great project, don't get me wrong. I really like the tech behind it. It's a good idea. You know, it's got a lot of positives behind it. You know, a lot of the stuff is because it's unclear. On the website, what the token details are, and also, you know, the failure of the bounty campaign to really build a solid community behind the project. That's really the two main failings behind it. You know, aside from that, if it had that, this would score a lot higher. But as such, I can only really give it three stars out of 5, guys. I wanted to give it more, I really did, but looking at it, you know, some of the negatives really affected it in the final score. So again, patience is a virtue. Is it worth taking the risk on? Absolutely, I think it is. I think it's a very, very solid project, and it's something that somebody that knows about coding and knows about the potential behind this project will understand and probably get invested in. Hype mongers, you know, guys that have invested in white paper ICOs like ShipChain and other stuff like that, well, you know, they're not going to bother with projects like this because this is real value here. This isn't just some, you know, fantasy that somebody's concocted in a white paper. So it's solid. It's just got a few flaws. It needs a little bit TLC to nurture it, you know, to full bloom. So that's what I think about it. Am I going to invest in it? Yes, I'll probably put some into it actually, because this is something that's it's like an itch that I've got to scratch, this one. So yeah, I'll probably invest in it. So that's my BTU Protocol ICO review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, please subscribe to the channel. This is the way I do ICO. If you're new to these things, this is the way I do ICO reviews all the time, guys. I break it down. The timestamps are in the description below, so you don't have to watch the whole bloody video if you don't want to. You can skip to whatever section interests you, or right to the end if you want, just to watch this last bit of me giving the verdict. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll be back later with a new ICO review. I think I've got another one lined up I want to do. And it just leaves me to say my usual disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, guys. This is not financial advice, and it should only be taken for entertainment purposes only. Now, if you're going to invest in any ICOs or any cryptocurrency for that matter, you've got to bear in mind that it poses inherent risks and there's no guarantee of profits. You know, you could quite easily lose your shirt by investing in cryptocurrency and ICOs, guys. Bear that in mind. If you're going to invest, always do your own due diligence, always do your own research, yeah, and always invest wisely and always invest cautiously, and never invest more than you can afford to lose, guys. And the other thing I always say, and I've been proven correct with what's happened today again, is don't listen to YouTubers. You know, YouTubers out there giving advice. One of them has got over 600k in one Ether wallet, one hot wallet. He's got over 600k, 600,000 US dollars worth of tokens in one hot wallet. And the other guy, the other big one, well, he just got hacked today, didn't he, for $2 million worth of tokens, keeping them in one hot wallet. And they're out there giving you advice, guys, and you're listening to them? Okay, you know what you're doing. Right, enough. See you tomorrow.